Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Let's take a look at the headlines. Tertiary Education Minister says Workforce Center will play an important role in the creation of jobs for students entering the workforce. Industry and Investment Minister ready to address several key issues in the trade and investment sector. And 20 paintings done by primary and secondary school students will be displayed on Wrightson Road walls of the PowerGen power station. Thank you for joining us. Construction of the Center for Workforce Research and Development at the University of the West Indies in St. Augustine will commence immediately and will come at a cost of $1.5 million. Speaking to reporters following the sod-turning ceremony to mark the start of construction, the Honorable Tertiary Education Minister Fazal Karim said the center will play an important role in the creation of jobs for students entering the workforce.
$1.5 million will be spent on the construction of the Center for Workforce Research and Development at the University of the West Indies St. Augustine campus. Tertiary Education Minister Fazal Karim revealed the cost following the sod-turning ceremony held to mark the commencement of construction.
$1.5 million has been allocated for the construction of this facility. Fully funded by the EDF, and it's going to be supervised by the Ministry of Tertiary Education and Skills Training, and the campus principal, Professor Sankat, has given a commitment that the project will be within budget, on time, no overruns, and total local contractor. The work has started already by the fence that has been placed to secure for safety. Today is the sod-turning, construction starts, and as the contractor just indicated, we expect to be completed fully by November, so that this will be an end-of-the-year project, and in the month of January, we should be moving into these new premises.
The center has been designed with the CARICOM single market economy region in mind, as it seeks to harmonize and coordinate the labor market process in Trinidad and Tobago. According to the Tertiary Education Minister, the center will serve students seeking employment opportunities.
When we came up with the idea of the CWRD, was to fill a gap. The National Council for Labour Market only came in stream with the advent of this government. But there was a gap in terms of information and labour market information. Training, as you know, must be demand-led. It would not make much sense if it is supply-driven. Because if training was supply-driven, then we're putting on programs and degrees and postgraduates in terms of what we, the institution, think, and not what the economic development strategy requires.
Minister Karim took the time to also note the important role development of entrepreneurship, information and communication technology and life skills prior to students entering the world of work, and called on the university to consider implementing mandatory courses in this area.
Life skills, ICT, and entrepreneurship, I feel, are things that should be modules, electives, call them what you want, that all should be exposed to. Of course, if you say modules and electives, you might say, well, they may not necessarily do it. But at some point in time, before they exit, they should be exposed to those things.
The project is anticipated to bring together the University of West Indies with the Central Statistical Office, the Ministry of Labour and Small and Micro Enterprises Development, the Chambers of Commerce and the National Training Agency as partners in the completion of the project. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
The new Trade, Industry and Investment Minister Vasant Bharath is revealing plans to address several key issues in the trade and investment sector, which he says are now a top priority for him. He was speaking with members of the Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association at the Hyatt Regency Port of Spain, who raised a number of issues facing them.
Plans are being laid out by Trade, Industry and Investment Minister Vasant Bharath to take steps towards stimulating the local economy and local investors in order to arouse investor confidence among foreign investors. As a result, Minister Bharath says inefficiencies in the customs and port systems need to be resolved.
The private sector's ability to invest wherever in the world they are is governed to a large extent by the ease of doing business where they plan to put or they intend to put those funds. The fact is, we do live in a global economy today. people are no longer restricted to investing in their own countries or even in their own regions. They have global reach. So when an investor in Russia or China or India or the United Kingdom looks to invest, an individual investor, they look worldwide as to where to put those funds. And they're going to put those funds where they believe the ease of doing business, having taken into account the risk and rewards, are the best in their estimation. So therefore, we've got to create that environment in Trinidad and Tobago that allows people, locals as well as foreign direct investors, to be able to do business easily. So I believe that we need to take some radical decisions with regard to treating with the issues of customs and excise. And clearly, my additional portfolio of minister in the Ministry of Finance will allow me that flexibility to be able to deal with the issues of customs and excise.
The trade facilitation and investment processes are being highlighted as areas of priority. On the issue of trade imbalances, Minister Bharat adds that one of the impediments was caused predominantly by the procedures of the Food and Drugs Department, which governs food imports in particular.
I can assure you that the process of overhauling and re-engineering the entire trade facilitation value chain is at top of my list. Another issue that Dominic talked about was the food and drug, and that is an issue that has created many a problem. And the strengthening of the institutional strengthening of that chain is very important. There are many instances where, as a result of, as the President said, the contradictory positions that the Food and Drug has taken and the indistinct procedures that they have adopted over the last several years, that several exporters to this country has had significant difficulties, culminating in, of course, the manufacturers themselves, the local manufacturers themselves being blamed as being protectionist, but more importantly, or as important, the reputational risk of Trinidad and Tobago being put at stake.
One of the outstanding issues, he says, is to fully implement the automated system for customs data, the Asecuda system, which should cut down on the waiting time in customs and portage.
I will ensure that the Asecuda system is seamlessly linked to the single electronic window so that we can resolve these issues in a very short matter of time.
The minister is also proposing to immediately address the lengthy delays in the refunding of value-added tax and quarterly corporation tax. He says he is looking into having refunds made within a much shorter period.
VAT refunds, another bane of contention, another source of problems for manufacturers over the years. It has really choked, to some extent, many of the businesses in Trinidad and Tobago because of the length of time and the lethargy involved in receiving VAT refunds. I have already spoken to the Minister of Finance on this matter. I had a discussion with him yesterday. I am very well aware that it's an anti-export bias because, of course, in many instances, you're having to pay VAT up front. And then, of course, when you export, you can't charge the VAT. And then you then have to wait 6 or 8 or 12 months. My intention is, in discussions with the Minister of Finance, that I will advocate for a maximum of 90 days for repayment of VAT to manufacturers.
In terms of investment facilitation, Minister Bharat has proposed that one agency, ETEC, handles all inquiries related to business investments instead of several government ministries and agencies. This, he says, will assist in resolving and avoiding confusion in the various inquiries.
We in Trinidad and Tobago have too many government institutions tasked with the role of investment promotions. Too many. In fact, a cursory look at it indicates that we have 3 ministries involved in investment promotions in Trinidad and Tobago, and several agencies under those 3 ministries that are involved in trade promotions in Trinidad, investment promotions in Trinidad and Tobago. I believe that this shotgun approach is at best naive, but more than that, it dilutes the focus and the resources of the government of Trinidad and Tobago.
Veena Bharat, News 4.
News 4 continues after the break. Stay with us.
bring a message of peace. P-E-A-C-E. It's about patriotism, environment, and citizenship education, calling you or youths between the ages of 14 to 20. Become a trainee in the Peace Program nationwide.
Just 6 weeks of peace training starting 9 July.
Come join us 2 days a week.
From 9 to 3.
Over the age of 18.
You want to be an instructor in this program?
Your training starts from the 25th to the 29th of June.
Interested in becoming a trainee or instructor?
You can call us at 625-2652 or 625-9557. Or visit us online at peaceprogram2012@gov.tt.
The Peace Program.
Promoting patriotic citizenship.
An initiative of the Ministry of National Security for the 50th anniversary of Trinidad and Tobago's independence.
Welcome back. 20 paintings done by primary and secondary school students will be displayed on the Wrightson Road walls of the PowerGen Power Station. This was announced at the awards function for the 2012 PowerGen Schools Art Competition.
The walls of PowerGen's compound on Wrightson Road are set for facelift as the paintings of 20 students will now adorn the walls. The students were finalists in PowerGen's 2012 Schools Art Competition, which was based on a theme titled Sweet, Sweet TNT, celebrating our Golden Jubilee. The theme of the competition was done to honor this country's 50th anniversary of independence. Speaking at the awards function held at the National Academy for the Performing Arts in Port of Spain, Minister of Arts and Multiculturalism, Dr. the Honorable Lincoln Douglas, praised the children's efforts and encouraged them to continue being creative. Dr. Douglas also praised organizations such as PowerGen for engaging the public's participation in recognizing such a memorable occasion in this country's history.
This year, as we celebrate the golden anniversary of the independence of our beloved country, the Ministry of Arts and Multiculturalism, and by extension, the government of Trinidad and Tobago, has placed emphasis on the notion of passion, pride, and patriotism. And I am thrilled to see that PowerGen, the patrons of today's event, has opted to invite entries that recognize this milestone accomplishment in our nation's history. This is not only timely, but it is fitting and it's a welcome thing. So by providing a platform for the immeasurable creative talents of our youth, PowerGen has challenged you to conceptually to explore sweet, sweet TNT.
Many of the artworks showcased the national colors, red, white, and black, events which capture the essence of TNT, such as Carnival and Independence, and scenes native to the islands, such as popular beaches and geographical landmarks. Meanwhile, Minister Douglas says it is the responsibility of adults to recognize and nurture the artistic talents of children. This, he says, will aid in the creation of sustainability in the cultural sector, something his ministry also aims to do through consultation.
And in my time in the Arts and Multiculturalism Ministry, my key focus will be creating a sustainability within the creative arts and the cultural sectors. That through a consultative process, which I am embarking upon right now with many stakeholders of our artistic treasures and the many stakeholders of the people who are making our culture, with our culture makers and our cultural workers. As I engage in this consultation, we are working to produce an artistic concept and endeavor and artifacts of Trinidad and Tobago that will be consistent and would match anything in the world.
Gregory McBurney, News 4.
The Honorable Health Minister, Dr. Fuad Khan, says there are several strategies which can be implemented to address what appears to be a shortage of beds at the San Fernando General Hospital. Dr. Khan was speaking exclusively with News 4.
The health minister says the low rate at which patients are being discharged at the San Fernando General Hospital is partly to be blamed for what appears to be a shortage of beds at the facility.
What is the problem is that there's a low rate of discharge. So if you have patients coming in that are ill, and those that are on the beds who have been there for sometime as much long as a week, some for 3 weeks, some for 3 months, then those that are ill that are coming in, okay, will not have a bed.
The health minister is suggesting that patients who have been warded at the hospital for very long periods should, in appropriate cases, be discharged and referred to health centers and clinics. This, he adds, will contribute significantly to the availability of beds for patients who may be terribly ailing.
If the doctors discharge these patients to clinics and investigative areas, you'll have beds for those that are coming that are ill. Another method of approach will be to those who are coming in that are ill and need a bed will then displace those who have been lying down there for 3 and 4 days and months, and that those people who are much better sit on the chairs. Then they will clamor to leave and to be dealt with, and the doctors will have to discharge them faster. So there is a shortage of beds, but there's also a shortage of movement.
There have been subsequent reports, however, that beds at the medical wards of the hospital have been cleared as scores of patients were discharged, making available the much sought-after beds for ailing patients. The overcrowding issue at the San Fernando General Hospital, which serves half the population of Trinidad and Tobago, is expected to be alleviated when the proposed hospitals for Point Fortin, Couva and Pinal are constructed, and the Chancery Lane complex, which is to be used as an extension of the hospital, comes on stream. Verna Barath, News 4.
More news after the break. Stay with us.
Hello, ever thought of cutting your TSTT business landline costs? It's simply a smart choice to make, only from Blink. One fixed monthly rate for bundled local minutes, bundled mobile minutes, bundled international minutes, and many free calling features, all wrapped up to save you a bundle. Smart choice, only from Blink. A bundle of joy.
Welcome back. Friday, 13 July is the revised deadline for registration for the annual youth sport camps organized and managed by the Sport Company of Trinidad and Tobago. The camps will run for 3 weeks starting Monday, 16 July. The national response to the registration drive has been excellent, and due to the overwhelming demand, the deadline has been extended. Parents and guardians are asked to note that the swimming and gymnastics venues are oversubscribed and will not be registering any more children. Football and cricket venues are also in high demand, so registration will be accepted on a first-come, first-served basis. The other sport disciplines available are athletics, basketball, cycling, golf, hockey, netball, rugby, sailing, table tennis, tennis, and volleyball. Interested persons can call 643-5630 or 643-1009 or 643-0346 to register for the youth sport camps at a venue near you. In more sport, on the court, the Trinidad and Tobago netball team seems set to defend its America's Federation of Netball Associations title when the championship starts in Port of Spain on Saturday. The off-the-court preparations for hosting this huge tournament is also fully in gear, according to Chairman of the local organizing committee, Carol Charles Austin. Wayne Cunningham has more.
The senior Trinidad and Tobago netball team is ranked 8th in the world. We were once in the top 3. The Calypso girls will be seeking to regain that lofty position, and the journey begins right here at the Jean Pierre Sports Complex when we host the America's Federation of Netball Association Championships.
The championship starts in earnest on Saturday, the 14th of July, which is this coming Saturday, and continues until the 21st. But if you look around and you see the pace at which we're moving and the number of plans and strategies and tactics we've put in place suggests that we've been planning this championship for a while. Actually, the planning of it started on the 20th of December last year. And we have worked assiduously every single day from December 20th last year up until today, and continues until the championship ends. We were expecting probably about 15 teams, but to date we have 9 teams competing, inclusive of host Trinidad and Tobago. The Canadian team is already here. Bermuda would have come in last night also. Bahamas, Jamaica, St. Lucia, of course Trinidad and Tobago, the United States, Jamaica. Those teams are coming in between today and tomorrow. So by Friday night we'd have the full slew of teams into the country.
It has not always been smooth sailing for the organizers, according to LOC Chairman Carol Charles Austin.
Preparation for the championships, as every project goes, has been very chaotic at times, but as I always say, project management is about managing chaos. So that if everybody expects things to go 100% and perfectly every time, it will not, because you're dealing with people. We have been able to manage it, to bring it to the point where we're 95% complete in terms of the planning. So what you see happening around, even the painting of the wall, is the little fine touches that we put in place to ensure that things go off well. I am hopeful that come game day, everything will fall into place. And if they do not fall into place, then we have contingency plans to ensure that we can clean up wherever things go wrong.
The LOC comprises some 14 subcommittees, which include medical, accreditation, logistics, and the all-important security.
In charge of security, we have Captain Neville Wint of the ODPM, and he has put together a master security plan that takes care of almost every aspect of security with regard to the championship. Because this is not just a local championship. We're looking at foreign countries coming in to our shows. And my take on this is that if one thing goes wrong with regard to a foreign player, it is not about the local netball association. It becomes an incident of national importance. So security is very, very high on our list.
The opening ceremony will be on Saturday 14th, with matches continuing for 7 days. This is a massive undertaking for the Trinidad and Tobago Netball Association, and they are fortunate to get some support.
The Minister of Sport has been extremely supportive. Sport company, we have 2 members of the sport company sitting on the LOC, so our needs are directly communicated with them, and they've been working very, very well with us. In terms of local sponsorship from private sector companies, I think that is where I have a little bit of distaste in my mouth for it, because companies have come up and helped us. For example, Blue Waters have supplied all the water for the games. We know that Vemco has helped us with some of Gatorade for the players. We've had some sponsorship from FCB. We've had some sponsorship from Scotiabank. And there are other companies that are coming up. Zoom is going to be helping us with regard to some of the T-shirts. But we really need Trinidad and Tobago. And I look at sport from a strategic perspective more so than at the operational level. I think that if we look at the model developed by other countries with regard to funding for sport, you would recognize that the private sector is on board almost every step of the way.
Everything is in place for the Netball Championship of the Americas here in Trinidad and Tobago. All the Calypso girls need now is for the Calypso people to come out and support. I'm Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
Thank you very much, Wayne. In other news, Minister of Food Production, Senator the Honorable Devant Maharaj, says URP workers will soon provide assistance to farmers in the production of their goods and livestock. This as the government seeks to chart a positive way forward for the agriculture industry.
As you know, last year URP was split between several ministries, including the Ministry of Agriculture and the PS, and a team from the Ministry of Agriculture along with Minister Simongal and myself met with them earlier this week, and we have what we believe is a workable plan to utilize some of that URP labor in the various farms as a pilot project, and once it works, we'll be able to replicate it elsewhere.
Minister Maharaj revealed this as he and Minister of State in the Ministry of Food Production, Jairam Simangal, met with agriculture stakeholders to mold a way forward. The ministers addressed a number of concerns raised by farmers with regards to the industry. Minister Maharaj said dialogue with the farmers and various stakeholders is important, as the industry can only move forward with this approach.
We want to know if you are benefiting from this. It makes no sense if we have an actual plan that is linked from the key stakeholders. What is needed for us to be competitive? What else is needed for you to develop individual subsectors? What is needed to create a strong preference for local production? These are some of the areas we hope to develop and deepen. The hope is to impact and involve equally all that would be affected through food security, employment, health, education, sanitation, trade, and tourism.
Minister Mawad says this is also important because he plans to develop a national diversification strategy for Trinidad and Tobago. As such, new investment opportunities in this sector are welcome. He is inviting the public to submit written ideas and opportunities for investment in agriculture. This, he says, will greatly benefit the country.
This will enhance our efforts to further push and market the sector better than before. It will undoubtedly create more employment and income opportunity for you all and to the benefit of the country.
Meanwhile, Minister Mawad says farmers can expect many of their land lease issues to also be sorted out soon. He says the ministry is working feverishly to ensure all that can be done is done in a timely manner.
There are a number of leases being processed on a weekly basis at the cabinet level. No fewer than 10 leases per week receive approvals. I think he has cut down the amount of steps from over close to 100 to about seven steps to get the leases processed, and I think they're being done as quickly as the ministry staff could do them. So we hope I think the total number of leases outstanding was close to 6,000, and we are targeting to try and do as much as possible before the end of the year.
Gregory McBurney, News 4.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of News 4, production of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Thank you so much for joining us.